asking you to stand with WNYC because of that loss of federal funding. Please stand with us right now. Stand up, make a monthly sustaining contribution at any amount. $13 a month will get you that t-shirt, but any amount works. 888-376-9692 or go online to wnyc.org. And thanks.
WNYC is supported by Netflix, presenting A House of Dynamite, from Catherine Bigelow, director of The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, starring Idris Elba and Rebecca Ferguson. Now playing in select theaters on Netflix October 24th. Harrow International School, New York, offering day and boarding education for grades 6 through 12 on a 170-acre waterfront campus on Long Island. More information is available at harrownewyork.com.
WNYC, independent journalism in the public interest. 93.9 FM and AM 820. NPR News and the New York Conversation.
Marketplace is supported by Baird. Baird strives to attract and retain top financial talent, providing stability and continuity for clients. More at BairdDifference.com.
We'll do some non-government data. We'll sample some manufactured meat. And we'll play a little football. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Drexel University, whose cooperative education program provides students with opportunities to explore future careers and gain professional experience before graduation. More at drexel.edu. And by U.com, AI search infrastructure for the enterprise, helping replace complex workflows with LLM-agnostic custom agents and APIs designed to reason, act, and offer accurate outputs, all while being context-aware. YOU.com/marketplace. And by UKG. Their HR, pay, and workforce management tools are designed to help business leaders build trust and empower their people. UKG, because when work works, everything works. More at ukg.com/work.
In Los Angeles, I'm Kai Ryssdal. It is Thursday. Today, 16 October. Good as always to have you along, everybody. Here with a list of the government economic reports not delivered today. Retail sales, the Producer Price Index, both core and headline, first-time claims for jobless benefits, and manufacturing and trade inventories and sales, which is the Census Bureau's fancy way of saying business inventories, how much stuff they've got on the shelves to sell to us. None of those came on this Thursday, and yet how this economy's doing and where it might be going is of obvious interest to all of us. So we turn instead to the people running America's companies and the Conference Board's measure of CEO confidence. Less confident, more cautious is how they're feeling. The measure fell in the fourth quarter. More executives feeling negative about the economy than are feeling positive. Marketplace's Kristen Schwab starts us off.
CEO confidence doesn't necessarily reflect the economy or the lives of regular people living in it, but CEOs do have insight and influence. Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, a professor of leadership at Yale, says that makes measuring their feelings important.
Well, it's perceptual. It's perceptual by the actual decision makers, and it's in the here and now. It's immediate.
CEO perception right now is that the economy is on pause. Dragging inflation, aka stagflation, is a top concern. So is an economic slowdown, though notably the more extreme word, recession, came up very little in the Conference Board survey. Tariff talks have ramped up again, and President Trump has been commenting on the performance of specific CEOs.
There's so much uncertainty there about whether or not you're going to get shaken down to surrender a piece of your business, or your costs of doing business with another country are going to skyrocket.
On a positive note, it seems like leaders are kind of getting used to the chaos. Stephanie Guichard, a senior economist at the Conference Board, says companies intend to start spending again. The way they plan to do it, though, may not be such a boon to the American workforce.
They are facing higher cost pressure, but as a result, they want to invest more in AI and other new technologies.
Tariffs have increased the necessity to save money with AI. Now, the Conference Board survey doesn't represent overall CEO sentiment. All 130 people surveyed lead big Fortune 500 companies. Olu Sonola is an economist at Fitch Ratings.
Large corporations, those CEOs I have a much better sentiment, and they're much more optimistic compared to the CEO of smaller firms.
It means the overall economic outlook among businesses is probably much more of a mixed bag.
A resilient but fragile economy. And that's somewhat oxymoronic, but that's where we are.
One economic force could propel us forward, another could knock us down. In New York, I'm Kristen Schwab for Marketplace.
On Wall Street today, nope. We'll have the details when we do the numbers. There are, give or take, a dozen companies on this planet that the markets say are worth more than $1 trillion. There are, of course, the usual suspects, the ginormous AI-centric tech companies, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta. The 10-digit club, though, also includes TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, on which those ginormous AI-centric tech companies depend to actually make the advanced computing chips that they need. And that is a pretty great business to be in right now. TSMC this morning reported a whopping 39% increase in quarterly profits over a year ago. That's on $33 billion in revenue, $33 billion in just 3 months. Marketplace's Daniel Ackerman took a look at the world's chip maker of choice.
The factories where TSMC makes its chips are a sight to behold.
I mean, they are just massive. The scale and sophistication is almost beyond human imagination.
Mike Schmidt researches industrial policy at Princeton. He's been to those factories, or fabs, and he says a single one can be the size of 11 football fields.
And at a given site, they might have 6 or 8 fabs operating side by side, totally interconnected with each other through internal subways that carry wafers from one fab to the other.
And the chips that come out, you have very likely used them today, says Ishwar Prasad, a professor of trade policy at Cornell.
TSMC is embedded in your life in many ways.
The chips are used in smartphones, TVs, cars, computers, and if you're the AI type, your last ChatGPT query was run on chips made by TSMC.
It has pretty much cornered the market for these high-performance, high-tech chips.
TSMC makes the bulk of those chips in Taiwan, where the firm is headquartered, but it's expanding production in the US, including in Arizona.
And that is likely to increase over time.
Driven in part by incentives offered by the US government, which wants to make sure it can get the chips it needs in case something happens to Taiwan. That's according to Gil Luria, a tech analyst at D.A. Davidson.
If China does pursue military action against Taiwan, there could be a disruption to the whole global supply chain.
But Luria says moving production of these very complicated chips to the US will only happen bit by bit.
This is a relatively small part of their capacity, and it's capacity that takes a very long time to ramp up.
So for the foreseeable future, Luria says Taiwan will remain the global center of chip making. I'm Daniel Ackerman for Marketplace.
Let's do the numbers. Dow Industrial's down 301 today, 0.2%, 45,952. The NASDAQ down 107 points, about 0.5%, 22,562 there. The S&P 500 off 41 points, 0.6%, 66 and 29. TSMC had huge profits. TSMC still managed to lose 1 0.6% today. More banks reported higher third-quarter earnings, didn't keep their shares from falling, though. Bank of New York Mellon edged down 2%. M&T Bank sank 3.5%. KeyCorp dropped 5 1/3%. If you're thinking, what do they all have in common? The answer is smaller regional banks. Look out for that one. It's a news story. Bonds up, yield on the 10-year T-note down 3.97%. You're listening to Marketplace.
The Numbers is supported by Odoo.com, your entire business on one platform. Marketplace is supported by Solidigm. Today's AI ambitions require a different approach to storage. Solidigm offers solid-state storage solutions optimized for AI with higher capacities, greater speed, and energy efficiency. StorageForAI.com. And by Viking, dedicated to bringing travelers to the heart of each destination with small ship, river, ocean, and expedition voyages, offering cultural enrichment and immersive experiences. Discover more at Viking.com. And by Schwab. Schwab knows that investors want control of their financial future. That's why when it comes to wealth management, Schwab is dedicated to giving investors more choices. More at schwab.com.
Hey, it's Michael Loenger from On the Media. At OTM, we pride ourselves on cutting through the BS to bring you frank analysis about the news and the news industry. So let me do that right now. Public radio is at risk, but it's not just NPR and your local station. The American press writ large is in serious trouble. The people who cut our funding are afraid of fearless journalism. They're afraid of good information that they cannot control. They're afraid of rigorous reporting into their daily distortions and conflicts of interest. We, as public radio journalists, promise to be a bulwark for reality, but we need your help to do our best work and to stay on air. Please support this station by starting a monthly donation now. Visit WNYC.org right now to start your monthly sustaining donation. This is not a time to sit back. Thank you.
You can also call 888-376-9692. Again, make that contribution as well at WNYC.org. This is a very serious pledge drive here in this moment in WNYC's history because for the first time in decades, we're looking at the loss of federal funding. And for WNYC in particular, that means nearly $3 million in funding. That is a significant gap in our budget planning, our ability to continue to do what we do, what we've been doing for years. Frankly, we cannot do that if we have a $3 million loss in funding. So what we're asking you to do in this moment, in this very critical pledge drive for WNYC, is to stand with WNYC, contribute, keep this on the air, keep this going, keep us strong and healthy into the future so we can be around for another 100 years. We can only do it with your support. So we're asking you right now to make a sustaining monthly contribution to WNYC. If you're new to this whole thing, that just means like a monthly contribution, right? So think of it as like a one of those,
like a subscription.
Yeah, subscription, auto deduction from your account every month, right? Set it and forget it, as Steven's been saying, right? Like it's an easy thing to do. You set it, you forget about it, it just gets deducted from your account every month at any level, whatever level works for you, works for us. So we're asking you to stand with WNYC right now by calling 888-376-9692. You can also go online to WNYC.org and click on donate.
But the thing about that is you don't forget your local public radio station. Right. Every morning, every evening, when you tune in, we are there for you. That is our promise. And we're asking you during this crucial time to help it keep it going, keep the system going. This is listener-supported public radio. Mm-hmm. This is your local public radio station. Well, it's true the federal government did defund public radio by cutting the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. We are still here for you, and that is because of listener support that keeps us going. We're looking to close the gap, and we have a challenge right now on the table, and we are on our way towards hitting that goal. The challenge was to get 3,000 sustaining donations by noon tomorrow, and I knew it could happen. I knew we're going to keep knocking those numbers down,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact, we have, Sean.
Yeah.
We are
doing
down
great.
to just 266 more
Yes.
listeners.
Love it, yes.
Thank you if you've contributed during this pledge drive. Sean and I truly appreciate it, and we rely on you, and we count on you, and we're glad that you're now stepping up to help. We need more listeners to become sustainers, 266 more, and we'll unlock a $100,000 additional gift from the Mark Haas Foundation. So now's the time to do it. 888-376-9692. Go to the website, wnyc.org.
Do you mind if we talk to you for a couple minutes about this for our pledge drive? Do you have other friends who are listeners to the station? Like, how would you convince them, hey, this is an important thing that matters to us as New Yorkers, and there are threats to it, and we have to keep it going?
Thank you for that leading question, because I got all caught up in my emotions about it. But yes, it really matters. If we just roll over, it's all going to dry up, and there will be no objective voice. There will be nothing we can rely on. There will be nothing New York focused that's reliable and objective. It's so easy. I mean, even $1, the cutting to public radio and NYC in particular was done dollar by dollar. Yes, it was a huge swath, but to recoup that, if you have $1, give $1. It's worth it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That WNYC listener talked with our colleague James at the Inwood Farmers Market. We're asking you to join them Start a monthly contribution for WNYC or add $3 a month to your existing one. It'll take all of us giving a little money each month to sustain WNYC in this new era without federal funding. So what we're asking you to do is stand with WNYC by making a contribution at WNYC.org or calling 888-376-9692. And please give as generously as you can.
And just a quick update. I know you're listening to us and you are listening to Sean very carefully because he's laying it all out there. And the numbers, as I said, they're getting better and better. We're down to 253 listeners that we're looking for to make a contribution so we can hit that 3,000 sustaining donation goal by noon tomorrow. That'll unlock an additional $100,000 from the Mark Haas Foundation. Your gift will not just pay for the programming on WNYC, but it'll send a message that independent journalism is important to you. And we believe it is fundamental to American democracy. And your support will ensure that WNYC can continue to do that fearless reporting, the rigorous reporting. We can continue to be that bulwark for reality, as Micah so eloquently put it, host of On the Media, another crucial show on WNYC that speaks truth to power week after week. And I can't think of a more important program right now, other than All Things Considered, of course. But step up and do your part. Keep it going. 888-376-9692 is the number to call. You can also visit the website, WNYC.org.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Brisdall. If you're a football fan, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers in Cincinnati tonight, taking on the Bengals. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Basically, though, every day is game day in the modern NFL. That's the gist of Ken Belson's new book. It's called Every Day is Sunday, How Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, and Roger Goodell turned the NFL into a cultural and economic juggernaut. Ken, welcome to the program. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Could we just start with a fairly simple proposition, I suppose? For those Americans who aren't tuned into the NFL and aware of it and fans of football, why does the NFL matter to like the wider American economy?
Well, the NFL has kind of an outsized influence. It's roughly $23 billion a year as a business. Somewhere in the order of 75 of the most watched television shows are football games every year. Their reach into our culture has broadened with the spread of gambling. So they are becoming a 365-day-a-year enterprise. The commissioner, Roger Goodell, I have a colleague has quoted in the book who said he's not worried about the NBA or Major League Baseball. He sees the NFL as Disney and the Vatican. He sees the NFL.
That's quite a reach, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, it's a family-friendly media company, which also happens to be a cultural institution.
The thing about it, just to get down to sort of business model brass tacks, is that the NFL has a supply chain problem, right? There's only X number of games, and because it is such a physical game, it's not going to be able to expand too much more. Of course, they used to be 12 back when I was a kid. Now it's, the season is 18 weeks. How are they maximizing the product with this sort of necessary restriction on the number of times that these guys can play?
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma they face. I mean, the regular season is pretty much crammed into the fourth quarter of the year.
Right.
At the same time, they do have a supply chain problem insofar as the way that people are coming up through the pipeline. The concussion crisis, for instance, has turned a lot of parents away from putting their sons in tackle football at 6 years old or 8 or 10, 12 years old. So there are issues that they face, and that's one of the reasons they're looking overseas for new fans.
I want to talk for a second about that concussion crisis, CTE, and what that has meant for players, for the players' families. It is what has been and still is an enormous challenge for the league. It's a public relations problem. And you point out that they've kind of dealt with it, not unlike Big Tobacco has dealt with some of its problems.
Yeah, the league made a lot of missteps early on. They assumed Paul Tagliabue was quoted as saying this was a packed journalism problem. But, he set up a committee to study the issue, and that committee back in the 90s was putting out junk research. That's the overlap with the tobacco industry. But when Roger Goodell came in, he realized this was more than an image problem. This was a existential problem. So I have in one of the chapters, I cite quite a few documents that were uncovered in depositions where you can actually see how the NFL pivoted around 2010-11, trying to change the narrative. Let's get safer helmets. Let's teach kids how to tackle safely. Let's put some neurologists on the sidelines. Let's improve the concussion protocols. And in large part, a lot of the media moved on. Even though the game itself hasn't changed fundamentally, the marketing around it has, I guess I would say, improved.
Just to sort of keep going on this point, and it's really important not to minimize this, there's a race problem with the NFL as well, right? There's the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, and the rules literally were changed so that you can't kneel during the national anthem. Black players have been compensated at lower rates for their CTE issues. I mean, it's not like this is a benign issue that the NFL has.
Yeah, the NFL has struggled with this in various ways over the years, and this goes back many years. The basic fact is roughly 70% of the players in the NFL are players of color, and 70% of the fans are white. So when you had the kneeling issue, it brought strong reactions, including from the president. Yeah. The NFL has tried to pivot around this in Trump 2.0. They invited the president to the Super Bowl this year. But yes, it's been a constant problem. You referenced race norming. There was a case brought during COVID by some former players, black players, who discovered that their claims for dementia were denied. And they claimed that black players were discriminated against. The NFL ultimately changed its rules, and many of those players subsequently received cash awards.
You've been doing this. You've been covering the NFL now for 15 years. You said before we turn on the microphone. My question is: are you still a fan of the game? Do you? I mean, yes, you have to cover it and all this, but do you like to watch the games?
That's an interesting question. A lot of sports reporters will tell you they just root for a good game because they have to write about something interesting. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I've unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, I've sat with some of these players who are just incredibly diminished, and their families are left taking care of them. It's a violent game, let's face it, and they're doing it for our entertainment. They get paid for it, of course, but there's something sort of sadly poetic about how some of these guys end up, and that's hard to shake, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I hear that guilty pleasure thing. Ken Belson covers the business of sports for the New York Times. He's got a book out. It's a good one. It's called Every Day is Sunday, How Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, and Roger Goodell Turned the NFL into a Cultural and Economic Juggernaut. Ken, thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank.
Marketplace is supported by Yubico, makers of the YubiKey, protecting the applications and accounts that people and businesses rely on every day. YubiKey helps stop phishing attempts and hackers. YubiKey, still undefeated, the original passkey. More at yubico.com. And by Progressive Insurance. Progressive is looking for individuals who want to join an inclusive and unique culture. More information, including application, at progressive.com/careers.
This final note on the way out today, a tale of two commodities. I'll report, all y'all decide what it means. Commodity number one, oil. The U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate down another 1.2% today, $57.44 a barrel. That is near a 6-month low. Commodity number two, gold, $4,331 an ounce today, an all-time high. One of them very sensitive to expectations of future economic activity. The other very sensitive to expectations of future economic uncertainty. Our daily production team includes Olivia Burdett, Andy Corbin, Nicholas Guillong, Maria Hollenhorst, Sarah Leeson, Sean McHenry, and Sophia Terenzio. I'm Kai Ryssdal. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is APM.
Public media was defunded. Why?